adaptation. The lore of Battle Angel Alita. Today's topic is, who is Chaos? So, there is a basic videos that are made on the basics of this supporting character from Gun Armor Battle Angel Alita, but this is going to more speculative and more in-depth look at some of the lore involved with the character. So, first of all, to get an introduction and more basic information on the story, I'd recommend you take a look at Giant SD's video. And this is the little thumbnail for it. I'll have a link to it in the video and in the description, so take a look. To get started, he first appeared in Volume 7, Angel of Chaos, of the original series. He's present throughout Volumes 7 through 9, nicknamed DJ Chaos or Bard of the Badlands. It's a very popular nightly broadcast, even though, as you find out, it is actually illegal, technically. As you see in this picture, you have the big RV, and it has a little transmitter for radio and a little windmill on it too. And he wasn't a priority for Solemn, the factory, as well as the Tune to go after as a criminal, because he wasn't openly supporting the Barjack. And the station known as Radio Chaos in the mobile RV, along with a little mini museum within the RV. It's huge. And he has a number of special abilities, including psychometry, and basically by touching he reads information, electromagnetic residual energy, as data, as if it's a computer reading a CD or a computer reading a flash drive, which is pretty cool. So we're going to call it pseudo-telepathy because he transmits his thoughts as wirelessly as a radio transmission, and he can also hear radio transmissions. Initially he was totally deaf and couldn't speak, so his only way of hearing was the various signals. At the time this graphic novels and manga was being written in the 1990s, there wasn't as much widespread cell phone, but in today's world, as well as in the adaptation of the early volumes before he appears in the live action movie, there was quite a deal of, should I say, technology that's come along since then. Now you've got internet, you've got cell phones, so in a world that's made to reflect the world of today in the 2020s, he would essentially be hearing all sorts of things. Cell phones, he'd hear almost everything. It would be even noisier. Another thing is infravision, or seeing infrared. He's literally blind in terms of what we see visually, but he can see outside of our visual spectrum, especially the infrared, so he can see the heat off of something, like let's just say such as in the Predator movies, where the alien monster is looking at the heat of its victims to get a target. Interestingly enough, being able to see the heat and psychometry and forms of telepathy are powers associated with a vampire in these horror novels and movies, but we'll get back to that later. He can mentally generate an avatar of himself, which can be more than one, or multitask, disseminate throughout an internet or computer networks, traversing electronics, control or destroy electronics, and he can also manipulate, through the type of pseudo-telepathy he has, electronic or computer devices mentally. As well as this avatar can control electricity and form a body out of electricity. It's really weird. This goes into the whole taking skills through psychometry in Last Order, where he takes the skills used by a samurai and a katana and clashes with another swordsman named Pismo. It's a pretty interesting scene. This has color added to it. It's implied he has some kind of accelerated healing, and it's implied he has some kind of enhanced durability from various accidents he has suffered. A little brief biography is he He was born around 2519 AD. If you go into the Gundam calendar, which is the year since Sputnik was launched, it's the year 563. And this is less than 2 years from the time his father escaped. A lot of his backstory is never shown. His mother is not known. But we do know in this classic reveal his father is arch-villain Destiny Nova. This is the part where he says, he's my father. Which is, a little bit better than the redundant "I am your father." He was augmented around 16 years old by a combination of graphing and nanite infusion to skeletal and nervous systems. So that's kind of where it's applied. His body can either heal or take a lot of damage, because that would be incredibly traumatic to force metal in. So this is just a little Photoshop thing, but it's to show how there's the cables running inside the body to synchronize the nerves and his motions, and also how he's just reinforced so internally. After he's met in person, he decides to join an ally against Destiny Nova with some hesitation. His mother figure, former nanny, Jasmine, was murdered by Destiny Nova's assassins, and it's the unfortunate scene from the mangas here. Resuscitation was discontinued. So here we have some really basic footage from Gundam Martian Memory of just how you get another revelation that he is also dead. I mean, it's a dissociative identity issue, such as Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Bruce Banner, and the Incredible Hulk. That's basically how Chaos is as well, and it's another great reveal. A little better than the reveal about who his father is. But Chaos, much like Hulk or Hyde, gets improved in his strength by his anger. So the angrier he becomes, the stronger he could get. And this increasing strength could make him potentially formidable. It's wondered how he became without the alter ego, but it's shown later on that in Last Order that he possibly doesn't need to have two egos to have it enhanced to be pretty tough. There was that little fight in Sword Duels I showed at the beginning. And you see here, it's a nice way to see a little animated presentation from the video game Gundam Martian Memory. I recommend it. It's on my channel that I'm playing it, but it's just a nice way to see it animated rather than just regular panels. And the game did a good job of bringing the manga to life, although it does diverge from the manga story quite a bit too. So, but it's nice to just watch this little confrontation about how it's revealed that it's this alternate personality in the same person that is Den of Barjack. That's the origin of Den, and the whole origin of Den was the result of when Destiny Nova discovered this. He created a separate body for Den. And what's interesting is the conflict between the two personalities. The personality of Chaos is to protect the people who do not like us, as Chaos is a mutant and a forbidden, and he's a freak of society. I mean, mutants aren't allowed in Zalm, and I'll get more into that when it comes to the lore of Chaos, but what should you do when you have a rejection by society? Should you care for them and protect them, or should you side with this whole idea of destroying them? As we'll find out later in this video, this conflict isn't new to the Gundam universe or the Battle Angel universe. Now we're getting into the whole parentage thing. It's known that Chaos, or shown that Chaos has similar attributes to the vampires of the Gundam universe. Now, in Gundam universe, it's not a simple supernatural type vampire. There's usually a science fiction explanation as to why vampires are as they are. In the case of vampires, it's caused by a mutagenic virus, and they are known as Type V mutants, but you can still say vampires. But it's a science fiction explanation that a virus changes a person's genes. A select few survive and become an altered creature. The properties of this virus are that the younger you are, the greater your odds of surviving. An adult has overwhelming odds of death, and while the odds are overwhelming that any small child would die, the pattern is that it just goes up as the person gets younger. So say a small child or a teenager has more chance than some middle-aged man or woman in terms of being bitten and infected. But the interesting characteristic I'm going to show here is that there is the eye color change. When the vampires in the Gundam universe get angry or have adrenaline increases, the pupils turn white and the rest of the eye turns black. The examples shown here are 1, Chaos when he's assuming the Den persona when he's angry, because it also happens in Last Order too, where he gets the black eyes with the white pupils. But in Last Order, they obviously increased the details a bit so he looks more like Velma Fakiri, or Sumo Sanguis, and Victor Byron, her boyfriend, who she kills eventually. Also, speaking of vampires, there's a lot of similarities between Destiny Nova and Count Dracula. The origin of Destiny Nova, while not shown to great graphic extent, is that he was once a citizen of Zalem, a researcher, a specialist in technology, until he discovered a bitter secret, that Zalem kept people under control by completely replacing the brain with a computer chip or biochip. This brain chip became a point of when Destiny Nova discovered the truth that he was essentially enslaved and lacked free will, that he utterly rebelled and sought to find out the meaning of fate or karma. As he rebelled, he came to discard all the standards and all the rules that Zalem had in place, giving people new unnatural lives such as Makaku or Den or Zapan. And these or Eli, his girlfriend at the time of the manga, this unnatural new life often has an appetite, such as an insatiable appetite that involves usually sometimes eating other people or rampant destruction, or even a person going through a series of cloned bodies from self-destructing their own body repeatedly. This is similar to Count Dracula, and in Count Dracula's story, in various fictional interpretations, he was once a regular noble, or a regular human being, who became a monster when he reviled against his god, denouncing him. In this case, we are shown in the 1992 Dracula remake that Dracula feels that it is no longer worthwhile to follow the way of his old religion, and he becomes the monster we all knew. Like Destiny Nova, Count Dracula gives people a new unnatural life as a vampire, where they must go for an appetite of blood. The parallels between Count Dracula and the Nova family do not stop with Count Dracula and Destiny Nova. They go even farther. Even farther. According to the Dracula remake and multiple versions of the story, Count Dracula was originally a historical person known as Vladimir the Impaler, Vladimir Tepish, or Vladimir Basarab. And like Destinova, he lost hope in his old beliefs, his own statutes, becoming a monster, living on unnaturally, becoming a curse. And as Destinova rejected this, he did all sorts of things that Zalem would not allow or supposedly prevented him from doing. He becoming a father was not something he should have done, according to Zalem. He is designed not to be capable of fatherhood. And similar to Count Dracula in all the stories, Dracula himself, in his fictional interpretations, has had actual children when he should not, as a vampire, do that. As he is supposedly an undead monster, and Lord of Vampires, but somehow he still does. His, or Dracula's children tend to have this tendency to become his own worst enemies, seeking to destroy him, as Destinova's son does. But as we get even further, and again, there's more of this whole vampire artist thing going on with Den when he's in Chaos Body, or even Chaos when he's angry. But even more, it goes back to the historical inspiration behind Count Dracula, Vladimir the Impaler, Vladimir Draculesti, Vladimir Tepes, or Vladimir Basarab. Well remembered for having corpses impaled on poles, or in the case of Gunham, Den of Barjack does it with rebar or steel girders, and he does it with vehicles too as a way of marking his border and scaring away his enemies from his territory. Yeah, pretty creepy stuff, and it's interesting how much Casero took a look into lore regarding, say, Dracula or vampires. And this is before we even got into Last Order with showing the kinds of vampires or type B mutants you find in Gunham. So, this is interesting. And getting with apostle parentage, it's, even though Chaos has attributes similar to vampire, it's extremely unlikely that he could have a vampire parent, just because the way the story's gone. Vilma Fakiri or Saula Sanguis, she has not been on Earth, or maybe she has. Maybe she goes up and down, I don't know. But she's the last one, and you just don't see her. But interestingly enough, she does seem to appropriate, and Chaos seems to have similar cultural symbols from the Far East on him as well. As you see on Chaos, he has the yin, or the dark half of yin and yang on his chest, marking his heart. Yin is a symbol of darkness, but it is balanced out with a symbol of light, or yang. And also interestingly is the new name that's Velma Fakiri goes by as the last vampire's blue blood. Cerula, blue, sanguis, blood in Latin. And she uses Chinese swords, Chinese martial arts. But going back to Chaos, he has the symbol of a Chinese symbol of Taoism, a religion or philosophical school of Chinese thought. And normally he walks around with just the yin symbol, the dark symbol, symbol of darkness, symbol of silence, symbol of cold, sleep, and fear. Later on, when Chaos changes, when he has the avatar is blue, similar to how Chaos dresses up in blue. As you've seen from the footage, he does dress up in blue, blue blood, blue clothes. I'm getting confused here. But he has the blue, but instead of the yin, it is now the yang. It is now light, courage, day, being awake, and being loud. Interesting enough, he exercises the powers of a god in destroying Zalm's weapons and enabling him to later find a way to try and travel up there himself. And it goes even farther from there in the whole cultural appropriation part into the part of, okay, what is chaos in mythology? What does the name come from? Chaos is the Greco-Roman deity, father of all gods. There are differences in the Greek and Roman, but the first god to ever exist. He willed himself into existence from disorganized matter before planets and stars were formed. Initially, they did not reproduce, but they came into power through the will of chaos. The children of chaos were Gaia, Tartarus, Eros, and Nyx. Day and night, earth, and the underworld. Even further is the idea that in the supernova is a nebula, and from the nebula the matter comes together to form a new star. And the way chaos name, and going back to the mythology in Greco-Roman terms, is like saying that he is a miracle. He came into existence through some kind of otherworldly will, or came into existence for some miraculous purpose. And when it comes to uniting humanity, that became his purpose in the series, or came to a purpose that he came to seek out. And one of the big things in the Greek side is that chaos in the Greek story, he sought to possibly destroy or sacrifice Gaia, or Earth, to stop the Titans. And fortunately, the battle was won by Zeus and the Olympians. Otherwise, that wouldn't have been too good. But in a way, that kind of relates to Den and the idea that he could sacrifice Zalem and destroy many lives for a greater good and starting over. But all in all, the way it concludes is that chaos is a curious origin, and the origin is so curious because his origin is meant to be impossible. It's meant to be forbidden. And how could something against all odds originate? And that is what gives so much curiosity, and that is what drives so much interest in all the lore that Kido Kashiro went into when he wrote this manga, and whatever input he had in the other media too, in which this character appears. And I just want to say thank you all for watching. If you really enjoyed this, I invite you to like and subscribe for more content. And I just want to thank all those who gave your encouragement in the making of this project. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be signing off.